Hello, New York City Charter Schools. This is Tracy Davy with a quick demonstration on how to report your school calendar. In a recent email, I promised you that it could be done in about 15 minutes or less, and I hope to do that with all of my discussions of lots of details here in this video. From our ESBOCES New York City Charter Data Central website, hover over resources and tap on templates. We have various blank templates here to help you with reporting. You'll find the date calendar here. It's very possible that by tapping on this, you're not able to download the file, and that's because IT departments have increased security and are protecting you from automatic downloads and redirects to avoid nefarious actors and other executables that might hurt your computer or systems. So two ways to work around that. You can get a copy of the actual link address, open a new browser, and hit paste and go. And then it will automatically download for you. That's been very successful for many people. Another option, I'm showing you it in Chrome, but it's possible in other browsers. Up here, when you see a padlock on any website, it's telling you that it's a secure website, has additional added safety features. You have the ability to change the site settings. At least you might have to go to your IT department to ask them to change these settings. So what we're looking at is the privacy and security features that have been established to protect you, your computer, and your school. A couple items here that I had to set up myself when my agency instituted the blocking of automatic downloads and redirects. I found the area for pop-ups and redirects, and I said allow. Now, when you do this, it is only allowing it for one single website. It's not changing your computer settings everywhere you might open up your web browser, just for our ESBOCES website. And then the other one would be the automatic downloads. I had to make sure that that one also said allow. And I don't even think, at least in Google Chrome, there's no other place to even save it. You just close it and those settings will be set. In that case, after updating, how your web browser, trusts ESBOCES, you should be able to double click or click and download it immediately. Just a quick word about ESBOCES is a school. We are fully compliant and accountable to the State Education Department to be EdLaw 2D compliant. Given that we manage a data warehouse and have sensitive staff and student data, we are super cautious. I'm not going to tell you you can trust us, that's your own decision, but you really can't. I don't know how else to say that. Okay, let's take a look at the Excel file that would download. And we'll open up to this page. There are multiple worksheets within the file. And the first one is start here. You need to find the name of your school on the sheet. And I'm not going to read the page to you. When you are working and I'm not with you, then you can read the page for whatever directions you're like, wait, Tracy said something, right? Okay, I just thought of something here. The code, this is a sample school and it doesn't follow the exact style of a code for a location, so it's not showing here correctly. If ever you are working in levels in a template in Excel and you know that a code is supposed to be like 2 characters, and that's true when it comes to reporting the grade levels on the next screen, I'm just going to show you how to adjust that. I'm choosing the entire column. I'm on a Windows environment. I'm right clicking and choosing format cells. This is also true somewhere in Sheets. If you hover over, I think it's edit. And then I'm changing it to a custom requirement. And in this case, for my fake school, I need it to be a 4-digit code. So I'm just going to say, okay. So now it shows in the correct format. When you save your data, it will save it in that format. Okay. Again, information telling you all about the information on this worksheet. There are multiple worksheets. One, if you go back one, is the template directions. This is the technical information about each field, exactly what's the maximum length, which field position is it in, and whatnot. You'll see here the list of how your grade levels have to be reported. Each one needs to be a 2-character entry. I have here a copy of the New York City school calendar. It might be nice, there's also a link to it on their website, to download this or print it out maybe even and compare it to your own school. What we need to do, the actual calendar worksheet here is pre-populated with the exact calendar for the New York City Department of Education. If your school, especially if you're co-located and you follow their calendar directly, you really are going to add your codes, save the file, and import it, and you're done. It's going to be that simple. If your school has a very similar schedule, which most do, right? Most Monday through Fridays you have school, and the big holidays you're probably off at the same time. But you'll need to ensure that your start dates and any other holidays are exactly the same. So the calendar does include every day of the year. The fiscal year for education is July 1. I'm going to scroll down and we need to consider, when did your school open? The New York City Department of Education opened on September 8th this year. That was a Thursday. Was that your first day? If not, you need to adjust the dates for when your school actually opened. So if your school had just opened on that Tuesday, you only have one date to correct here. Now, these two columns are required information. The grade levels that had school, you need to tell them what was the day calendar, where did they have instruction or no on each date for each grade level, or you can report all at the same time. This is perfect for when your school has every grade level in the building on the same day. And then you have to tell them the day type. There are two essential types of days. Either there's attendance or there's no attendance. And that's the work that we need to clarify here. You need to ensure that, when your calendar doesn't match the city, but your students are in school and you're taking attendance, you need to report that attendance data. So your day calendar has to reflect that it was an instructional day. If there wasn't school, and the city had school, you want to ensure that your calendar is customized and shows when you didn't have school. Chronic absenteeism and an overall attendance rate for your school is going to be based on the day calendar, when there's a day type that says that there was attendance taken, and whether or not that data was reported. So if, let's say the city opened 2 days before you, maybe your school didn't start to this week because you had remodeling going on and you just weren't ready yet, so you scheduled the next Monday. If you don't change these 2 dates from the city's calendar, then the state education department is going to assume that every student was absent from school for these 2 days. You wouldn't have the data, you wouldn't report the data, but the state's policy is that when data is missing, when the day calendar says attendance was taken, but you don't report it, they're going to add an absence for each of those days. So it's super important to make this accurate. All right, so let's imagine that your school opened 1 day early. All you need to do is make sure that the date type is correct. We have a drop down here showing you all the different types of instructional days, starting here with Regents no attendance, everything. And it popped here because we're on other, so it's showing this section. You can see there's a larger list here. All of these happen to be non-instructional days, right? So if you have Regents exams, but only the students taking tests are coming in on a given day, and the rest of the school is not expected to show up, then you're going to report that as a Regents day with no attendance. Teachers only, you may find that in level 0 in January, you have to change some days to a weather day or an emergency day of some sort. At the top here, we're going to see the instructional types of days. Instructional day is an instructional day, whether it's in person or remote. If your school ends up, if you're co-located and you're going to have remote instruction on what would have used to be a snow day, then you don't have to change those days when it pops up because it's still instructional. If you are closing and canceling classes on a snow day, then later in the year, those days popped up, you're going to want to make sure that you correct them. A makeup day, that's usually something that happens that Friday before Memorial Day. You expected to take it off, but you had too many snow days and actually canceled classes, so you need to make up a day. Anytime your school has a scheduled early dismissal or late arrival, this is the option you would choose. And then we have Regents with attendance. I just noticed that one's listed twice. Sorry about that. There are 2 public health instructional days and non-instructional. If your school, and only if your school, so when you're creating this calendar, you're not going to use those two, but let me address them anyway. If your school or the whole, all city schools are closed because of order from the Department of Health in New York City, or maybe even by borough, the mayor of New York City, the governor of New York State, or the Department of Health of New York State, or at some federal level, then you are not closing school because of a public health issue, okay? Unless those entities, one of those government entities, either city or statewide, have told you to close because of a public health issue, you're just not going to use those codes. You definitely don't need those codes as you're importing it because, well, maybe you're psychic, but let's assume that you need it to be probably an instructional day for now, if that's what was being planned. Okay, so in this case, our school opened earlier than the city. I just needed to change a date there. It's going to be very important to review the calendar. Consider that when the city took different holidays, did your school take that holiday? Be sure that you correct those as necessary. When you tap into these individual cells in in Excel, just tapping, I tapped on an I on my keyboard. And so it's saying, hey, in this dropdown, I've got instructional day. Do you want me to switch to that? I can just hit an enter and it updates it for me. Please be careful about changing the spelling and capitalizations. Note that the first letter here is capitalized for the first word, but not in the second word. It has to be exactly as the state says, or else it's going to pop up as an error in level 0. So our drop downs will help you in that regard. So aside from the first day of school and ensuring that your school and the city have the exact same holidays, the next important thing to ensure that you're loading is the correct end of school. So the city is ending instruction on Tuesday, June 27th. Is that true for your school? If your school is closing earlier, you absolutely want to turn those instructional days to other, or else you're going to really wreck your attendance rate and that accountability category for chronic absenteeism. Let's imagine, I know this happens, my sample school is a K-8 building, and our 8th graders have a lovely graduation ceremony on Monday, the 26th of June, it's scheduled. And then they're not required to come in the next day, but the rest of the kiddos are coming in and we're having a field day and big party for their last day, all right? So we need to fix this. The 26th was the last day of instruction when all grade levels were there. And now we need to adjust that only certain grade levels, though most, were in school on that very last day. So when that happens, if you cannot report that all grade levels have the exact type of day, then you need to create an individual line for each grade level. So I'm going to copy, I need to copy this date. So I'm going to copy that line. I need to insert it there. K-8 would be 9 different entries. So I'm going to drop down 9 rows, 7, 8. Actually, I only need to add 8 because I have the original row. And then I'm going to insert copied cells, and you'll see that those other dates in the school year got pushed down. All of them are instructions, it's exact copy right now, and all of them say all grade levels. So I need to adjust this. I can use the drop down and choose my kindergartners had instruction, grade 1 had instruction, grade 2, and so on. You'll see how quick and easy this is to change. Of course, if you're a K-12 building, it's going to take just a little bit longer, but I'm already almost there. Here we go. Let me tag my 7th graders as having instruction. And then I have to remember that that last day, I added too many rows. I added 9 after all. My 8th graders actually are not in school, and their instructional day would be other. So I have all these rows. I just want to make sure I got it right. I'm choosing an entire row. Do that with the number over here to the left. I have K, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that. I missed grade 5. So I actually did have the right number of days. Let me bring this one to grade 5. They're instructional, and it's done. It doesn't matter that they aren't in the exact order. You just want to make sure you have that data in there. So whenever you're using one of our blank templates on the website, we will, I can't say whenever, but frequently we will add additional data. Importing this data into level 0, if we went back to the template instructions, column E is for grade level. It's not the day of the week. The state doesn't want that information because all they need is the date. They know days of the week if they needed to drill down to that, right? So whatever you find, and you'll see all these directions here, I'm not reading them to you because I'm here to tell it to you with all my words. This is extra data, and that column needs to be deleted before you import it to level 0. Your best practice at this point is actually to save your day calendar. So I'm going to do a file save as, and put it in a folder where you know you're going to find it. I'll just do put my word sample in front, my sample day calendar, and I'm saving it as the Excel file. Now I need to create a CSV, a comma separated value. It's just straight up data. I need to delete column E. Remember, that was just extra fluff to make your life easy. You can see that the letters at the top here are not consecutive. There are hidden fields. The next thing you need to do, and that's the directions are here too, about deleting all directions in the header rows 1 through 12. I have to look at that. That ends at 11. Let me go back to the top, make sure I'm not missing one. Yep, I got to update my directions. 1 through 11. I'm going to delete those. And now all I need to do is to create my CSV file. So I'm going to now do the file, save as, go back to my downloads. I can actually use the same, whoops, that's the oldest. Let's get the newest at the top. And I can't seem to get there. There it is, my sample school. I want all the first part to be the same. I just need to change the type of file. So I'm going to find this comma separated value and hit save. It's warning me that there are multiple worksheets. So we saved it as Excel, so I can come back and look at all of this. But the actual CSV file that I'm creating will only be the single worksheet that I had open when I hit that save. And I'm going to say, okay, because that's the only one I need to report into level 0. There's actually, let's see, now I recommend leaving this open because we can jump back and forth in case we have any trouble uploading it. I'm going to take a second and jump out to my downloads file. And in a second, it's going to resort and give me my item at the top. If you're having difficulty uploading your file, I like to look at it in the CSV format. So if you right tap on it, if you double tap on it and it opens back up in Excel or Sheets, it's probably going to wreck your dates. So what you want to do is open with Notepad. And what I'm seeing is that there's a bunch of commas at the end, and we did have hidden fields. If ever there were too many columns at the end, they might need to be deleted. Actually, that reminds me, I failed a step. And another problem that might be an issue when you're loading a file is if they're blank, an entire row of commas, or maybe bunches of rows of commas at the bottom, you can actually delete them out of this particular file itself. Let me jump back to the Excel file. The best practice before I created that CSV was also to ensure if you tap into a field outside of where you have data, then Excel thinks that, or Sheets too, will think that you need data in there, and it's going to spit out extra commas. And it's not only going to do it in that single row, it's going to do it for every row above it and all the way down. So best practice, grab a whole bunch of columns off to the right. I'm selecting them, right-clicking and deleting. And again, we don't want to tap anywhere outside of where there's data. So you can just go back to any single field, or you can use your sliders to get there. Recommended to do the same thing at the bottom, so you don't have a bunch of rows of commas at the bottom, and hit a delete. If my cursor, if I was looking at the bottom of my document and there was a huge space in here, that would be a good indicator that I have junk data, blank fields at the bottom. When I'm down at the bottom and I see that my slider is right there at the bottom, I'm probably in good shape. Okay, so here is our testing website for level 0. I'm going to go to electronic import. day calendar, find my file. For almost every template, when you're loading it, you don't have to touch either step 1 or step 2. It has to be a CSV anyway. And then step 2 is just helping if you are reloading your entire calendar because you've got a whole bunch of mistakes, then you might want to delete it and reload it. For the most part, you can just upload it, and you might not ever have to upload it again during the school year. Even changing a snow day later, you're just going to do that manually in level 0. So now I choose my file. Be sure that you are grabbing the CSV, not there, here we go. There's my CSV. And say import, and that looks good. It's telling me that everything passes the first set of data quality checks, and it's telling me how many rows I have. So there are 365 days in the school year, but we added 8 extra rows. 365 plus 8 is the 373, which is perfect. And then all you need to do is to hover over L1 data prep, find your day calendar, and then there's 2 taps on the screen. This item here is red because it's never been loaded yet. So once I add this data, ooh, I have an error. Let's view that error report and see what I did. Okay, well, that's because this is a sample data and this location code is not valid. So sorry about that. Otherwise, it was about to flow perfectly. Dang, sample data. Okay, I also want to show you if ever you do need to make an adjustment. Let's say, although today is actually a beautiful day in the 50s, if today had been a snow day and my school was closed, I could go search for a day. You can search for an entire month and see the listing down there. Tap on view and view any individual record to update it. Here's actually today. I could have changed that to a weather day to show that we are closed, validate and save, and I'm fine. And that's really all you need to do. That's, but you're not going to do that individual corrections. If a single line had a bad location code, a typo in it, then I would have wanted to go back, right? I still have it open. I can go straight back to this and upload it. Actually, let's grab a valid code. So 1 is actually a valid school in this sample school. Oh, this is one of my favorite tricks that not everyone knows. When you have a cell chosen in Excel and you want the data to copy all the way down, I'm just going to, with it chosen, that little handle that pops up here, double tap on that little dot, and it automatically copied it down. On the screen here, this little pop-up will appear in Excel, and it's talking about autofill options. If I needed it to increase, I would switch to fill series. But because of the data that I work with and I'm frequently copying things, my Excel says, yeah, we're copying this, right, Tracy? That's the way you work. I guess AI is a good thing. So let's just save it again. Just hit a save up there. Go back to level 0, electronic import. If you had a categoric error, right, you have 373 errors for 373 records. There's probably one single thing that's wrong on every one. Read the message on the screen, right? It showed me the district code was wrong, so I need to update it. Back to day calendar, find my file. I see that it's the most recent time. Import, validate, that's good. Let's go back to L1 data prep. Day calendar, tap on the screen. I want to cry. Whenever you want to see your home screen, you can tap up here in the this level 0 notation. So here's my error. I'm glad I made it because someone else might too, and it just shows that I'm human. I have 373 errors, right? That was the original import, and I have double that. I have a bunch of valid records too. So in this case, what I need to do is go back to my electronic import one more time. This time I'm going to choose the second option to delete all the current records so that I can load the good records. Prepare import, validate and save. That's good again. And if this doesn't work, I might really cry because I'll be too embarrassed, and yay, it works. This is good. This says that your data is ready to go from level 0 to our level 1, which means that it's in the weekly pipeline to be transferred to the city for submission of state ed every week. But you must also still complete this create file. If I go back to my home screen, we can see that day calendar is red in this upload. I've never uploaded the file. I can tell you, we look for this kind of stuff, and if we see that you have no errors, we'll lock it for you, but please do it while you're there so you have the assurance that your data is moving. So going back to L1 data prep, I got to validate it again. And then I say create file. And that's when your file is in the pipeline and being submitted to state ed every single week. And you're done. Hopefully you didn't have a wrong code in there and don't have to reload and delete and reload and get it in. Okay, but if you ever have that trouble, call us. Our phone number when you're on the home screen of the live website, and actually on the SAMP one too, you'll find our phone number right there. It's also on the landing page for the software. If you're having a hard time logging in, it's best to call us. If you can tell us to send you a password reset, but if we queue that up and you can't respond to that email in 15 minutes, then it'll expire and you only have to call us again. So please call us. Okay, thank you. Have a great day.